the appropriate way to get rid of that suffering, that unpleasantness, is to remove the reason why it's there. And the reason why it's there is in the message that stuff is trying to tell you.
When you say the message, do you mean an idea or a belief or
Those things are the carrier of the message. They're not the message themselves. So it may come to you, it will come to you as an idea, but the idea will have a flavor about it that will tell you that it's genuine. So it's not just an idea, it's that idea will point to something inexpressible probably, but so it's not in the idea, it's not in that itself, and it's not the message itself. The message will point to what is going on, what is underneath all of this unpleasantness that you experience daily. And what I've seen, what you've told me about, what you were saying before about what you did, although you used anger as a motivator to act, what you did was that you established a boundary. That's another story, but that's what you did, right? Which is, and the brilliance of it is that it was new behavior. Something has changed that allowed that to happen. And I tell you this because another story is that it's going to take courage for you to face whatever that message is about. And because of your behavior with the chook farmer next door, the chicken farmer next door, that behavior shows me that you have access to that courage, which you didn't have a week ago or a month ago or whatever, but now you do. See, that's been changing over a period of time. See, in the beginning, when you first started to come to these meetings, you never showed your face. Now you do. And it's normal for you to do it now. You know, that's a change. That's something that's shifted. We can't force these things. We can only be open to allowing them to progress, if you like that word, progress, in their own way, in their own time and in their own way, they will happen. And you are so much closer to what that message is about now than what you were even just a couple of weeks ago. How does that feel to you when I say that?
Is the message some kind of feeling?
The message will point to a feeling, yes. And the feeling may be the carrier of the message as well. Are you having a feeling that you can identify when you think about it like this? When you consider what the message might be, do you get a particular feeling?
I feel like I'm willing to feel whatever.
Yes.
Uh, I wasn't willing to feel like shame or anger, and I was able to feel them.
Mm.
Um, um, Also, feeling of jealousy. Um,
Did you say jealousy?
yeah,
Yeah. So who are you
and
jealous of?
there are things also, like certain places that I was consciously and unconsciously sometimes avoiding to go to, especially like certain memories. It was like there's a constant effort to just avoid going there.
Yes. And there where the juice is. That's what the
And
message will be
yeah,
about, that stuff.
now I'm able to go there. I'm able to feel. It feels overwhelming sometimes. Um, it feels like there's some time needed to adjust to this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And because time is an illusion, we have all the time in the world. Like I say, don't push it. You just be aware that things are changing for you and that you are in a much more solid place now and are more able, more capable of investigating the stuff that your subconscious mind has kept you secret from you. See, it's a funny one, isn't it? But this shitty feelings that you've been having, all of that oppression that you've been experiencing is a solution. It is a way of you keeping away from what some part of you believes is much, much worse than that. It's like that. Although that takes you to the edge of what you can tolerate, you can tolerate it. And the fear is that you can't actually tolerate. Excuse me. I was choking on that. I didn't want to say it. So do you recognize that there's a little shift has happened and things are different for you now?
A little bit. Um, when you say don't push too hard, um, what do you mean exactly? I feel like, because I feel like I'm straining in a way. It's like I'm holding my breath to to endure this, to go through, and it feels like effort, and not pushing, not doing this feels like going unconscious to me. And I don't I don't even want, or I don't know if I'm capable to fall back into like old habits and just distract myself. But not pushing, that what means to me is just to just fall back.
Oh, no. Yes, I get it. I get it. Yeah. That's a trick of the mind that threatens you with falling back if you don't make an effort. But the fact that you do make an effort is what stops you from getting to where we need to go. So making an effort is a distraction, and the threat of falling back is what keeps that effort going. The very hardest thing for you to do is to do nothing. Every part of your being is going to attempt to stop you from getting into that really fearful place, the one that you've been avoiding. Every part of you, your mind is going to seduce you and threaten you and do everything in its possible power to stop you from going there. And it will even include making you feel certain things, all to do with keeping you away from that spot. Now, we don't have to fight it. We don't have to push it, because fighting it is what it wants as well. Because when you fight it, you don't go there. You're busy with something else, another distraction. So the hardest thing for us to do, and the best thing for us to do, is to do nothing. Just to be aware of what currently exists, what is there now, without describing it, without labeling it, without any spin-offs from it. That's the hardest thing to do. And so in fact, it'll be impossible sometimes, and only possible for probably for moments, just very short little moments, little glimpses of it. But if you can recognize what I'm saying, that there has been a change take place in you, then that's really all you need to hang on to be able to relax and just watch what happens. Recognizing that change will always be there. So even when you say before that things were always the same, they were never actually the same. They were just similar. Things are always changing. And in this case, we've had a change that's a pretty significant change, where you were able to express something you weren't before. And even more brilliantly, you did it without rehearsing. You were spontaneous. when you went down there and you said, get rid of that fucking smell. That was brilliant, I thought. That was really, really something. Yeah. Something that would not have been possible a month ago.
I actually have I had some doubt thought about what I did. Like I shouldn't done that.
Of course, doubts always come along, don't they?
And now I would like this feel like I would create a conflict. Like
It's not even what you did that is so brilliant. It was the fact that you were able to do it. That's where the brilliance is. It's just a wonderful statement of a shift. That's what I feel. Yeah. Hello, everybody else.
Hi, Vince. It looks a little bit hot in your car. Is your aircon not working?
I just turned it on then, actually. Yeah. That bit of redness is probably my excitement. Yeah. I feel way much better about Ramiz than Ramiz does about himself. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel really emotional, Ramiz, when you told that story. Like I really want to cry. I don't know, this emotion that I don't know. It just feels really powerful.
That release comes to mind.
Yeah. And then there's Lennart, who's our homegrown angel. Look at him.
Yeah, he's got red wings. Mm.
I heard something that struck me today, Vince, and that was something. What I related to was the comment from Pernilla that I'm identifying as someone who wants to understand.
Does that feel right?
Yeah, yeah. And kind of like I mentioned the other week, then I took it to the other one, which was I'm identifying as someone who wants respect. So it's that kind of central character who, or that sense of identification that wants something. So it's a fourth and fifth sort of message.
Yeah, yeah. They're so intertwined that wanting respect and wanting to understand might well be the opposite. That's a response to the opposite, that I don't want to feel whatever comes to mind. So let me say again, it's my story that the self is created as a suit of armor. It's a way of protecting us. And so when we identify, we're strengthening that suit of armor. We're making it more tangible. So there's a question that comes that says something like, if I want to be somebody that understands, if I want to be somebody that is respected or that is worthy of respect, I mean, we can play with these slightly different meanings, but so if that, then what I have is an identity as somebody who is deficient. And I want that to be different. Now, what we might look for is the flavor to that. Is it something like shadow work, something there that is born of trauma, or is it something not so deep? Something. Is it a dissatisfaction with the way things are? See, right now, if I ask you right now, do you feel disrespected? Do you? Right at this moment? Do you feel disrespected by any of us? Do you disrespect yourself at this moment? Is there a gap in your understanding? Is there something that you need to understand to make things better in this moment? No. So it kind of becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly that this idea of respect and needing to understand is just piled on top. It's a story that's made up that creates a sense of dissatisfaction. So it's like the chicken and the egg thing, you know. Does the story come first, or is the story a secondary thing from what is actually there?
Hmm.
Of course, you have to ask your feelings. Don't think about it. Which one feels right? What's your intuition say about how deep is this? Is this something really deep trauma that we need to look at? Or is it something that's just arrived out of habit in the more recent times?
I think it has run quite deep, but it is feels to me like a gradual loosening of that identification with those kind of demands.
Yes.
I demand this, that, and the other thing. You know, I demand to be seen, I demand to be heard, I demand to be respected.
Yes.
Kind of loosened, but the remnants are still there. So that the other week, say, you know, when I was saying that someone was really late and then didn't apologize,
Yes. Yes.
then I got triggered into the story of that person does not respect me.
Yes. Yep. So let's go back just a few years, somewhere maybe during your seeking years came a story about how it will be when you are awake. So you picture yourself not quite sitting cross-legged in a robe, but certainly equanimous and not having those kind of things. And then along they come, just because it was something that was conditioned over time, not necessarily coming out of trauma, but just a repeated pattern that became embedded, so to speak. And that disrupts the story of how you will be. And it says, see, and so really what it does is it triggers doubt.
Mm.
And it's not that you've got this deep-seated trauma that you need to dig out and unearth and neutralize, but rather it's just almost just a remnant bit of habit that's there from before you started to realize what it might actually be like when you are awake.
Mm.
So when you ask yourself the question, where does this come from? Do you get a feeling that it's something like that, or do you get a feeling like it's really deep, basic stuff that we need to look at?
No, I think what you were saying was felt right. That it's probably triggered doubt. Oh, well then,
Yes, yeah.
you've still got a lot of work to go here, love.
I love that. Yes, yeah. Well, let's change work into play. It's not work, it's play. It's all just good entertainment as we go through it. But yeah, there's a lot of it. I mean, I get the message. Maybe it'll never end. I don't imagine it'll ever end. But who knows? Yeah, you never know, do you? You can't know. But yeah, so work again is an achievement oriented thing, isn't it? We've got a goal that we've got to satisfy. Right. And that takes us away from what we're attempting, what we're wanting to do. Okay. So we again, it's wow, how can we remind ourselves of the really profound recognition that this, whatever is here, this is it. There is this. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter whether it's red, yellow, or green, whether it's heavy, light, or whatever it is, this is it. And it's not it because that's a thing, and it's not it because that's something static. And this is not static. This is constantly changing, constantly evolving, constantly moving. And it can only exist with movement. It's, as soon as we make anything static, it ceases to exist at all.
Ah, yes. So the other part of that resonated was that emotions, that when Pernilla was talking and she said emotions come up and they're owned, but they're not identified with.
Yes.
So that subtlety.
Yeah. So again, once again, is the really tricky part is to, instead of getting sucked into the emotion itself, is to be able to observe it as though it were objective. Of course, it's not, but to step outside of it and observe it and ask, what are you telling me? What are you trying to tell me? And that sounds like something to do, but it will happen or it won't happen. That's also, and we can be really relaxed about that. If it doesn't happen, well, it doesn't happen, and we don't miss it because we don't know it. If it does happen, that's great because we see it happening. And so, yeah.
And I have laughed out loud, as you suggest, several times, and it's felt really, really good.
Yeah. It's amazing how it changes things, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just really, it's a kind of ridiculous laugh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
I feel like I have replaced my voice of super ego by Benella telling me,
Yeah.
you are complaining, you
Yeah.
are blaming,
Yeah.
you are identifying. If she's like, I can hear her voice now, you're not supposed to, to use this lessons as an identification.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah, I can hear that too, Ramiz. So I just hear myself saying, shaming, blaming, complaining.
Yes.
Explain.
Yeah, those phrases are good. Yeah. And that one was a particular one that I got into when she said that. You know, and of course, we always want to explain ourselves. You know, we want to take the heat out of what others might think of us by explaining. And when you don't do it, oh wow, that's amazing. That's so confronting to just, okay, I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to say why it happened. It's just there it is. Yeah. And whoa, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I've been surprising my friends, not consciously, but surprising my as someone who's really punctual, and then I've just been turning up late. Like I don't send texts, I don't explain why I'm late. I just turn up late, and they're just like, "Oh my God, you know, what is going on with you?" They just don't understand. Like, I'm just loosening up.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. And but one of the things you'll find, and this has come to me so many times, is that people around you, people in your world, do not want you to change. And sometimes some of them will actually apply considerable pressure to get you to behave in the way you always used to.
Yes.
It's a very interesting one, that one, you know, can be a
Yeah,
bit.
very confronting for them often.
Mm,
Yes.
mm,
Or yeah, if I don't do the whole blaming, shaming, complaining with them, it's just like, whoa, this void, this vacuum. It's very confronting for them.
Suffering likes company.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fuel on the fire, isn't it? It just needs more heat, more fuel.
And when you don't do it, that can be a bit confronting for them. But if you actually say something about it, that can be really, really heavy stuff. You know, they'll feel criticized and take it personally and respond with body armor. Their self will get outraged.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And shame.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's important to remember that if I say something or I don't say something to someone else, I'm not doing it for the other. I'm doing it for me. If I'm nice or not, and both of action is just for me. I'm doing this for myself. Has nothing to do with the other. Like I don't respect someone else for respecting him. It's because this is the behavior that makes sense to me at the moment. Has nothing to do with the other, ever.
And particularly in people that you're close to, family and so on, getting that message across to them that you're not criticizing them, you're just expressing something yourself, can be quite difficult to do. I found it difficult.
Yeah, but it can be difficult. But the impulse to wanting to express yourself it's in you, because why do you need to express anything to anyone?
Mm.
It's for yourself. You want to be understood, which is fine, but you know, it's for yourself again.
Mm. Yes, yes. So as soon as you try and explain that, don't take it personally, you're doing exactly that. Yeah.
I think I realized that no one can understand me, really. No one.
Yes.
This is imagination. This is a game that we play. If someone can truly understand you, it literally will be you. Because you know so no one can understand you. we pretend that we understand because it's nice and it's maybe better than, but it's impossible. No one can understand you.
Yeah. Yeah, I say frequently that I can't even understand myself. So how could I expect anybody else to understand me?
Yeah, it just makes no sense. And I don't know if you experienced it, that sometimes you speak about an event, like you want to express something to someone, like you express the event and the emotion and the reaction, everything. And as you speak, your experience is changing in the moment. So you have to speak again, and when you speak again, it is changing again. So it's what are we talking about, really?
Yes, yeah. Dog chasing
For
its
fun.
tail. Yeah. Do you find yourself explaining anything, Eric?
No, I don't think. No, I can't. Doesn't really ring a bell.
Yep. So you're pretty relaxed with the way you come across to other people.
Um, I don't know how I come across to other people, I guess.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess I don't think about it too much.
Mm.
Could be because, I mean, we have kind of a pretty self-sufficient life here. You know, we don't go out with other people that much. I mean, I guess we had some people over last week, but yeah, we're not really doing that much, you know.
So what about just with your wife? Do you think she understands what's going on inside you?
No, definitely not.
But it doesn't matter. Hey, would that be right?
I guess it doesn't matter though. I think there's, yeah, I guess I feel like, you know, it'd be nice for her to be able to understand some things that are important to me, though I don't dwell on it too much. I mean, like, she doesn't like my son. And, you know, to me, he's like one of the nicest, honest people that I know. But I think for her, he feels a little bit of a threat because of just seeing my feeling for him, I guess, takes away something from her, I guess is what she feels.
Would you call it jealousy?
No, I think it's because I've seen it more with, you know, other people, even her own daughter, just being a little more, I guess, wanting to have control over everything.
Mm.
So, you know, and that's something that she can't control, and it's difficult. Makes her feel out of control.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how do you handle a desire to want that to be better, to fix it or to change it, or?
You know, I guess even that doesn't really
Yeah.
go very far with me. I mean, it's like I'm okay with. I don't like it when she gets really upset. It's uncomfortable, but when it doesn't go there, then it's okay. Yeah.
Mm.
So we're planning a 2-month trip to China, and I have places I'd like to go, things I'd like to do that are probably a little different than her, but I pretty much just let her decide, and I go along. That's fine.
Yep. Yeah, I get that one. Yeah, me too. It's not, I was going to say it's not worth the effort to push an agenda, but it's not quite like that either. There's something quite nice about just going along with whatever gets presented. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like who knows, something new will happen, something
Yeah.
unexpected. I guess part of one of the things that I want to do, and she's okay with that too. She kind of, it's, I've been reading a lot about Chinese history. And so like in the 12th century, there was like 40,000 registered Buddhist monasteries. I mean, it's a huge deal. And it was like, it's kind of hard to even imagine the scale of these monasteries with, 1,000, 2,000 monks in there meditating and following this path. It's just amazing. But there's some kind of famous monasteries I want to visit, and there's Wu Tai Shan is this place that Tai means terrace, and it's sort of like these mountains that are just sort of raised up. And there's like 300 temples on this mountain. It's kind of crazy. And it's sort of just a pilgrimage site for me, I guess, just to see,
Yep.
be around that.
Yes.
Just
Yeah. And when you just think of the embedded history and so on, there's this wonderful feeling that happens that's just so deep, isn't it? Just that, wow, all that intensity.
something going on. It sort of at a scale you can't totally
Yep.
imagine, I guess.
Yeah. But there's that, there's that wonderful feeling that comes along with that amazing, it's like I don't know, a deep meditation that's just there from just imagining all of that intense, all of that devotion for all of that time by all of those people and forever and ever, and just really something else.
There was last time we were there, we went to this I don't know if you know what Dunhuang is. It's there's a bunch of caves there, and there's like just out in the middle of nowhere in the desert, and these monks or hermits, or I'm not sure what you call them, they're not part of a particular order, but they just dug into the cliffs these caves, and they're just, these guys just spent like their whole time drawing Buddhas on the wall. That'd be like in this place where this all over the ceilings and the walls, and that's just what they did. get up in the morning and start working on another
Yeah.
Buddha, 10,000 paintings. And, you kind of picture what was the life like. And that was like in the 8th, 9th century kind of time frame. Just, actually, maybe it's been a little bit later, but yeah, it's kind of crazy stuff.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Lifetimes of devotion, just whole lives of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like so many things that we do in a modern life just don't, we're comfortable. We don't have to carry water. We don't have to do anything. We eat 3 times a day,
Mm.
It's just pretty crazy. Yeah, this I've been enjoying going to this just nearby, just like 5 minutes from my house. There's a Vietnamese Zen monastery, and I enjoyed just being around with these people who spent their whole life just meditating, and that's kind of I don't exactly go along with thinking, the actually just was talking about I don't know if you know what the 12 links of dependent origination are, but it's just, for me, it just seems like this whole thing about like what happens to the human brain, like when a sensual, your mind sees an image and it takes all these little photons and puts them in some nerve cells, and then draws a whole bunch of pictures, and then puts them together in something that you can see. And then, the whole process of sensing, and then you see something and then you categorize it, goes through this cognitive process, and then at some point you see something and you say, oh, it's out there and I'm in here. You create a self, and then at the end of all this, there's the top of this 12-link chain is the idea of time and space, and then birth and death, and that's where the suffering comes from.
Yeah.
And to me, that seems so clear, but from some people studying this, gets into this whole thing of rebirth and all these things that have nothing to do with the experience of just your senses and experience. And
Yep. So do you see that there's stories that get overlaid to explain, like the idea of multiple lives, rebirth, and so on, that they are in fact distractions again? They get in the way of experiencing what's going on.
Yeah, that's like kind of what I'm thinking. I would never say that to someone who's been, has this particular
Of course, yeah.
outlook. But I think there was actually the Buddha or someone, I think it was in a sutra, where he said, when you're thinking about, I don't remember the words, just this is kind of coming out, and you're thinking of time and space, the future and the past, that's where the suffering comes from.
We agree. Yeah.
And that's to me, what's that whole 12 links of dependent origination are just laying it right out, like until you can somehow cut that link, or at least that link of when you see this self, and it becomes so reinforced and embedded, and then until you drop that, you that's just the vexations, the suffering, all those things just follow naturally. They're
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I guess
So have you seen through those 12 steps? I didn't really. Have you seen Eric? Have you seen through those 12 steps that you are talking about?
well, the lower step is which I think was what the Buddha was talking about, was total sensation of thought, thinking, feeling, sensation. And very few people can do that. I don't think you need to do that. But I think that what he came up with was that he just saw that this whole Buddha process, when he came out of that, Nirodha state of, metabolism still going, but no sensation, no thinking, no thought, no senses, no feeling, no smell, no taste, no touch. When you boot up out of that state of cessation, that I think some people have been able to go through, but very few. When you boot up out of that, you can see that whole chain of how all that stuff works.
And how about you? Because I'm more interested about you than the Buddha. So where are you in this line?
Oh, well,
Or where do you feel to be more accurate?
I mean, conceptually, I think, but I mean, I lived in a Zen monastery, 50 years ago, and experienced some things where I just felt like I had just in that instant, it's like I totally understood what all the sutras were saying, and there was no feeling of any person to be defending myself or needing to explain myself or needing approval, but that was something that only lasted for like a few hours, but it was really clear. It was, so I mean, conceptually, I'm not living in that place right now, but I can see where misery comes from, and I can see the absence of it. But I can't live there all the time. I can live there little pieces of the time, but not all the time.
So where are you living now?
Right this second, or just in general?
There is only this second. There's only this. So where are you living now?
Oh, I'm talking to a bunch of people. I think, but if you were thinking about where does my mind go, my logical mind, what do I think about during the day? Then,
No, I was talking right here. Because you seem to put stuff in the past very easily. Like I understand that for communication we use time. I'm not criticizing you for using time and concept. That's not what I'm trying to point. I'm trying to feel that I'm under the feeling, maybe I'm wrong, that you put this experience that you had, that in the Zen monastery, you had an experience, an event or something happen, and you had a revelation. That's what I understood. And you put this revelation in
I
the
don't
past.
think it was I don't think it was a revelation. It was just a,
Okay.
it was just, the bottom dropped out of the bucket. I just, it was just like that, and things changed. And but then it kind of closed in again, and then it went away.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm pointing to. This closing, and thing went away. But if you are clear, there is only now, and space. It's an illusion. Where did it went? Where did it go? And where it is now? Because if it is only here, and there's only now, what are we talking about?
It's just a different, I'm experiencing things in a different way right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess there is a feeling like, gee, that would be nice to be in that place again. But I don't think that occupies my mind that much.
I think it's worth exploring how many places I can be, because very easily thought just time, like linear time, seems so real. It really seems that there is places that you move and everything, but all of this, it's really a construct. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
deny that I'm experiencing a seemingly movement. I'm totally aware of this, but I don't see anything in the past. I see the past, but I don't feel that the past is far away. I don't think and feel that the Big Bang is more far away than my birth, or than last month, or last week, or yesterday, or an hour ago. Is it possible? Is it a possibility that when the bucket drop out, an experience, and you feel that experience close, and this whatever, I don't know how you want to call it, this bucket, just this went away. Is it possible to approach it in an opposite way, that something come back into that event? Or I don't know how you want to call it. But
Yeah, I mean, when I was saying it closed in, it was a real physical feeling, like just, yeah, it's just like the more, if you kind of imagine like you're wearing some glasses and all of a sudden they kind of got darker, like you're wearing sunglasses, and maybe it just goes really dark and it just kind of closed in like a tunnel. Yeah. But that was just the physical experience of that.
Yeah.
But I'm that's not like something I'm thinking about all the time. It's just it is a memory though. But actually, I was thinking about, because I've been dreaming a lot, and the thing that I realized, and I'm not sure whether people experience this the same way, but I realize I'm almost never an actor in a dream. It's more like you're sitting in a movie theater and you're watching stuff and you can feel emotion about it, but you don't really feel like you're like a person in the dream. You might be more like you remember like all these things going on, but you don't I don't really remember myself being an actor in the dream, which is kind of, I don't know if that's unusual or if that's people's typical experience.
I don't know, when I dream, like I remember the dream, but as you say, I cannot localize myself specifically somewhere somehow. It's like I remember there were events, but I don't really see where specifically I was or what I was doing. So this is what I'm experiencing. Like, yeah, I'm not. I don't feel I'm in the dream. This is interesting.
I think sometimes I'm kind of in the dream, but more or less just as a feeling of looking at things, not so much doing anything.
And what is the difference between this feeling you had in your dream and right now?
Oh, well, if I think about 5 seconds ago, that feels a little bit like a dream, but I don't feel instantaneously like I'm dreaming. I feel like past is sort of like a dream.
It's very interesting where we are right now.
Is it
When
accurate to say?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ramin.
Go on. I can.
One time I had a dream. It was very interesting because I had a dream and a character entered the room, right? It was in a room and just someone entered the room in my dream, right? And suddenly the thought come, but where this guy come from? And suddenly I was experiencing the whole story of that guy, like I was experiencing the story of this guy past. Yeah. So this was very clear to me, and now it's clear that like time, it's really thought. It's really a thought. It's memory. In this instant, like when you say like, oh yeah, 5 minutes ago feels like a dream, but right now it doesn't feel so. but the now, it's not, it's experience is, it's the past already. I don't think we have access to now, even if there is only now. But I don't believe that we can have individual access to now, because when there is nothing registering the now. So experience is always in the past. So that's why it's always feel like the past. It's always feel like now, but it's never really now. And we don't have access to it as a person, we don't really have memory of it. And I think that's, even sometimes I had, maybe some others have dreams that you are aware that is a dream. I had those, but nothing changed really. The dream as it was just keep on. I didn't have, you know, it's nothing changed. The experience of dreaming was just keep doing whatever it was doing.
That I had a friend, this is way back in school, but she was telling me that she was in a building in the dream. So she was really an actor there, and she was running away from somebody down the stairs. And then at some point, she said she realized she was in a dream and she can do anything. And so she went through the wall and got away from the person who was chasing her. So, but I've never had a dream like that.
Yeah, but even this is just dreaming.
Yeah.
The dream keep on. It's just,
yeah. But yeah, but she did have that experience of knowing that she was in a dream, and now she wasn't limited by normal barriers.
That's
So she,
classically described as lucid dreaming. You always hear people who lucid dream say that they know they're dreaming and they exert control over what goes on. Yeah. Whereas what David's experience doesn't quite sound like lucid dreaming, but it's kind of close, I guess. Maybe it was just that idea that you could take control that didn't happen. But who knows? Yeah.
no, I had only one time that I had the illusion of control as I was flying, and I had the illusion that I can move there, and everything. But I don't think that is relevant at all, because there is no more choice in that dream that there is now.
Mm.
So it doesn't really matter, because there was no one following her. So she could have stopped, she could have walked, could have done anything. But who is the one who chooses to go through the wall? I mean, it's always the same question. You feel that there is choice, but there is no chooser to be found anywhere.
well, maybe the dream was that she did have a choice. I mean, that's kind of the illusion. Maybe that we're all living in, or some of us.
I had a dream once. It was like a long story, like it's like a novel. It's like a life of a person that isn't me. And there was like emotions, and I woke up having this feeling like I have watched a movie or something. I was identified with the dream and the dreamer and the stories. It felt like, and how it felt in my body, like how this sensation in my body could conjure or create this dream or life, and how this is more inaccurate or more true or less true than my life. I have the same access to what seems my life to this dream, like images, stories, feelings, sensation. It's the same. So what makes this more true than the dream? And one other thing, I was thinking about what awakening would mean is that things arising equally without center. Is it right?
You tell me, check. Why don't you check by yourself?
I'm trying to check.
Yeah, it's
It's
interesting. Very, very interesting exploration. Where is the center? It's very interesting. Of anything, you can take it separately, like where is the center of thinking? Or where is the center of sensing? Or where is the center of perceiving, like hearing and everything? Or where is the center, or where is the center of his experiencing that is, where is the center? But not more or less, like where precisely where it is.
I noticed when I try to like move my attention to a sound, there's a subtle movement, a sensation, like my eyes moves a little bit. And I tried to like pay attention to the sound without this movement. I couldn't. It's like it has to move. I don't know why.
Mm.
It's like this is a creation of subtle attention movement. Like this has to move to create a sense of attention.
That's the,
But it seems unnecessary.
I was talking to someone, and I was trying to point out that the thought about me, the thought about I, is no more important than unicorns or Big Bang or dragons. You know, the thoughts I and me is not that much important. And his answer was, well, it's more important the thought about I, because I feel pain when this thought is there, I feel pain. And I say, yeah, but like you say, Ramiz, right? You can have a dream and have emotions and physical reaction about the dream, but sensation arising with a thought or with a sound doesn't not a proof that the thought is real. What the thought is about is real. Even if there can be, like you say, association between thoughts and sensation, thought and hearing, you know. If you hear your mom speaking, maybe this speech will woke up sensations. So there can be kind of seemingly interconnection between them. But one is not the proof of the other, because they are variable. There is variable within their own realm. So everything seems to be. But what is very interesting is what is actual. There seems to be a center, but is there? Sorry, I interrupted.
So it was a trick question. Maybe there is no center. So how can you find it? Maybe there is.
Maybe there is.
Mhm.
But if you ask the question, it's already because there is doubt. if you ask a question, that you are already open to the possibility that
Yes.
that it's something different.
It's it, it just seems like the whole way the mind works creates unreal problems, but it's the same. Can feel like there's a problem when there isn't a problem, I guess. Like there needs to be an I in a place. It's not here, not maybe there doesn't need to be any location, you know, maybe it's just the way the brain works, the way the illusion works. That's just what it is. And, you know, you can feel the illusion, or you can, I think, yeah.
So some are more convincing than others. I get this sequence of things happening in my mind. Let's say you're watching a cartoon on TV, like a Roadrunner cartoon. Do we all know what the Roadrunner cartoons were about? Do you know that one,
Yeah.
Ramiz? Wiley
That's
the Roadrunner.
I'm not sure.
that may be
Yeah,
like a generational thing.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, anyway, let's just say this is a cartoon, right? And it's about a fox and a bird called a roadrunner. These birds exist in America, and they run really fast along the road. And this fox, he just, oh no, he's a coyote, actually, not a fox.
Oh
Wiley
yeah,
coyote, and he wanted to eat this bird, and the whole cartoon was always about him trying to catch the bird, you know. So he would blow up things, and he would drop rocks, and he would drop anvils over cliffs and everything to try and catch this bird, but the bird was always too quick for him. He never caught him. Anyway, so there's a cartoon, all right? So just imagine any kind of cartoon, and it's a story about the cartoon, and you don't invest yourself. You don't kind of go, oh, maybe he's gonna get hurt, you know, or, you know, because this coyote always hurt himself, you know, things would rebound on himself. So, but you never felt sorry for him. You never felt really invested in, because he's a cartoon. Well, then let's swap the cartoon, and we're watching a movie on TV. There's a movie going on, and it's a movie about, I don't know, we can go, if we go to that extreme, let's say it's a movie about unicorns and dragons or something. You know, again, you don't invest very much in it. But then you get a movie about a family, and it's much more realistic to you. So you start to feel for the characters in the movie, right? Because you can kind of relate to them a little bit, even though because they're a family. It doesn't matter what culture they're in. And then you move on to a documentary, right? And what they're saying with this documentary is that these are real events, right? And so you can really invest in the people who are getting done over in this documentary, whether it be the victims of a crime syndicate or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, but you can get invested because they're more realistic. But still, it's just something you're watching on TV. It's not actually in your life at the moment, but it's triggering stuff in your life. And the closer to home it gets, the more it triggers. And it's triggering what's there now, regardless of when it got in there. Right? So what David is saying about this, well, my words, a collapse of time. You know, time doesn't exist. It's just it's always now. Even no matter when it occurred, it's now that it changed us. Yeah. So your memory, Eric, of that bottom dropping out of the bucket metaphor, that experience that you had then, that memory, we call it a memory, but really you're actually getting in touch with something that's there now. It changed you, that experience, and you can get in contact with that, whatever it is, you know, that change that happened, you know, and you could just call it a memory, but you get in touch with it. The mind is so tricky. I once had a dream when I was a kid that my mother's yelling at me to get out of bed to go to school, and I dragged myself out of bed because I needed more sleep, and I got dressed, and it was such a drag and a chore to get dressed, and I was just heading out the bedroom door to go and get breakfast when I woke up, and I realized that it was a dream. It was a really realistic dream. And then I had to go through the whole thing all over again that I went through in the dream, and it was like it was a double effort. You know, here I was having to get dressed again and get ready to go to, and then I realized I can only ever know I was dreaming after I wake up out of that dream. So I have no way of knowing whether this is a dream or not. Can't possibly tell.
Yeah.
I think what is important is to remember that even if it's a dream, it doesn't invalidate the meaning that we project on it.
Yes. It's just as
Because
real, isn't it? Yes.
exactly. And at some point, what is real, it's really the meaning more than the story. If I watch a cartoon and the roadrunner never gets got, and I start to feel emotion, this emotion, it's more real than the screen, and you can go back and back and back and back.
Mm.
But this word reality doesn't, not really, I don't like reality or truth. I think it's mistaken. We got very confused. I think the good word is actual.
Yes.
But it's very difficult to use actual in sentence because it doesn't fit very well. But yeah.
Yes.
Because when a dream is present, it's real. You are really living something.
Yeah.
Not really, but it's actual. Yeah, it's actual. It's an actual dream, and there is experience. And then you woke up and you are having the memory of the dream, and you have again with an actual experience. So
So the meaning thing, the stories that we bring and we overlay things to make sense of them. It's a weird one, isn't it? How do we make sense with our mind when sense is all of our physical senses? But yeah, we do that. We bring a story and we use that story to explain something. But that's what leads us astray so many times. We've got a limited array of stories that we can bring to a situation, and those stories are culturally validated stories, and they miss out on what might be actually going on. You know, so when you say, and this is a little bit tricky. What we feel, if you accept the idea that a feeling is a sensation with a story attached to it, right? And what we do is we use feelings to validate thoughts, right? So we get this metaphor, Eric, where things were closing in, and you have this sensation, you have this feeling that you're losing something when that happens. But you appreciate you cannot lose what happened. You can just shift focus away from it. But you can't lose it because it can't be undone. It's happened.
Right. No, I totally see that.
So it's like if we had ultimate control we could say, well, I choose to see the world from this perspective and not that one. That perspective doesn't give me the rewards that this perspective does, or whatever. But of course, we don't have control, do we? We act according to some unknown forces, too complex to get our mind around. But that always changes too. Things happen and we discover something and it causes us to see things differently. So you, as much as there was some kind of bliss involved in that state of not, how can you put it, the cessation, that state of cessation, you can't live in that as a normal person. You might if you were able to go into a cave and sit cross-legged or draw Buddhas maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So what I experienced wasn't cessation. That was, I don't have any good words for it, but it definitely wasn't cessation. I don't remember what was going on before, or really afterwards, but that was the most.
Yes, you don't need to say it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a perspective. It wasn't a thinking perspective. It was just, I think I was experiencing, I don't think I was experiencing thinking. Normally I'm thinking all the time, you know, like thinking about what I'm going to do next. I'm thinking about, you know, the feeling in my body, thinking about, oh, I should drink some water, thinking, you know, lots of thoughts. I don't think for those few hours I was thinking. I was doing stuff. I was walking. I had to interview with the Roshi, and I just remember him looking at me and knowing something had really changed in me. And all I was doing was just smiling, and it's like feeling no need to say anything. Just, yeah. So, yeah.
Things were still happening. You were still walking. You were still drinking. If that happened, you were still doing, things were still happening, but without the steerage of the mind.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
See, I have this story going, and I can kind of hook into it a little bit, that what happens with Feta 10, with the ignorance that Feta 10 is described as, is in fact and I put it humorously as when the divorce papers get signed and activated between you and your mind. When the mind is, and the mind is still there, like the ex-wife is still around, and in fact you're friends with her, you know, but no longer controlled by her.
Right.
Yeah, that's that drop off the cliff into that state means that there's nothing to talk about, because with no mind, how can you talk? But you're able to talk, of course, but it's not about anything. It's just, or it is only about, it's not actually anything. So there's that. Yes, go on, Ramiz.
When you say you and the mind, what do you mean by you?
Yeah. See, this is where it gets really tricky to play with words. Yeah. If I say it more accurately, I would say there is no necessary implications from the activity of the mind. The mind is there like the wind is there, or the sunlight is there. It's just there. It's not. I mean, it has an effect, I guess. You know, we wear different clothes on a sunny day to an overcast day, but it's not mandated. It's just something that happens. So there's the mind doing what the mind does, and it can do it without us having to be obedient to it, because we recognize that it is just a different version of the wind or the sunlight or whatever. There's no difference.
How does that affect your sense of separation or the lack of it?
The sense of separation is totally created by the mind. So if we're not paying any attention to it, we're not experiencing that sense of separation. See, we're getting a bit tricky here, because even sensations are the mind. I know that sounds weird, but okay. Everything that we know rests on a story. Everything. Yet there is experiencing without story.
Do you experience me being separate from you? How do you describe non-separation? How do you experience me and you are not being separate?
Well, I have to be separate to describe it. So, it's an appreciation that everything in your experience is flavored, filtered, created by your experience. And when you experience appreciation of that, then everything is an expression of you, if it appears separate, or it is you, not just an expression of you, or you are it. And you are it and it is you is not, neither of those are true. But you are it and it is you, both of those are true. But it's there is no it and you. See, the idea of it and you is separation, isn't it? So as soon as you say, I am it, we're talking dualistically, we're talking with separation. So that as me as that gets a little bit closer, but still not. They just, I don't think there is words that can do it justice. That to say the world is you and you are the world is still like talking about things, and that's not accurate. There is only your experiencing. Your experiencing is everything. That still falls really short. I don't know how to do that. Have a go, David. How would you say that?
But I think the difficulty you are having is exactly why it's called non-duality. and not a non-union, because it negates the duality, but it doesn't show you what
Yes.
reality is, because you cannot say it in words. And if you try, it's a blasphemy. It's a blasphemy, because it's not real, not really that. But you don't try to make it like an amazing experience. It really is what you are experiencing at this very moment. We use the word thoughts, like there is thoughts, but you never find one thought ever. Try to really find the border of a thought, to try to find the thought, try to see what shape it has, what is the size, what is the border, what is the border of number 3. Well, it's really this number 3, the thought. It is 3D. It is a shape. No, thought is just, you can find a thought, like a noun thought, like right here. All you find is thinking. And so all you find is a verb. It's an activity. And it's same for sensation. You never find a sensation. You find tingling, vibrating, melting, shifting, moving, but you never find my hand, like a hand in sensation. It's only sensing. And same from hearing, perceiving, tasting, and everything. It's perceiving. So those 3 dimensions, it's an activity. It's an ongoing activity right now. And you never find what they are about. If you take the sensation, any sensation of your body, when you try to find the body, you only find more sensation, you only find sensing everywhere you go. Maybe it can overlap with thinking, and then you say, oh, I can feel my hand. But this is just sensing overlapping with thinking, but both are an activity. The overlapping of 2 activities doesn't make an object real. It may seem to appear real, but it doesn't if you explore carefully. So when you go really, really back, the only word that makes sense is experiencing. Yeah, I am experiencing. Even I am, what does that mean? Because so at some point, I and experience are the same. And one very good way to think about this, if you need to, is I is experiencing, the activity of experiencing at rest. When experiencing stop moving, it's I. And when I is moving, is experiencing. So they are both of the same, but in different, seemingly different appearance, let's say. But if you really taste, like, to say there is only now doesn't mean that it's static. It's quite the opposite. Now it's absolutely, it's a dynamism that it's just ungraspable. It's so fast, limitless. It's just an ongoing, constant experiencing going on.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be very interesting. At some point we say, yeah, thought are making this, thought are a problem. We get catch up in thoughts are controlling us. But in thought, it's a beautiful expression of what is here. It's really beautiful. There's nothing wrong with thinking. Absolutely nothing.
It's a classic one, and that's a really good one too. You can't bottle a thought. You can't get it. No surgeon can find one, right? And it can't be frozen in time, because it's something that seems to appear and disappear. But it's actually everything. There is nothing that is not movement. Everything, so there are no actual nouns. Nouns are a delusion. When we think that there is a thing, it's just a way of looking at something. But when we look at it closer, the closer we get to it, the more we can see that it's made up of atoms that are moving. Everything is moving. Nothing is still. We can't, anything that is still disappears. It can't exist still.
And I want to say that no one has ever found, have ever experienced an atom.
Yes, exactly.
No,
Yeah.
atoms are like thoughts and images on the screen.
Yeah.
No one has seen an atom with his own eyes, ever.
Yeah.
So there may be, but no one has seen them. So there is
No one's ever seen a thought.
there
either.
is seeing, there is seeing, there is seeing, yeah, there is seeing.
Mm.
So what?
So when you realize, and it does take a realization that everything that seemingly exists is not a noun, it's a verb. It's not even, it's even to say it's a process is not really accurate, but it's closer to. Everything is a, how can I put it, an afterglow of movement. Then you can see that, I mean, just got to take yourself as a body, this meat suit, and you can say, how can I be not part of what I exist in when I'm breathing it in and breathing it out, when I'm soaking it in through my skin, or when I'm excreting, when I'm eating it and digesting it and creating cells with it and so on. There is no separation, right? If you were separate from anything, you would die. And that's kind of a good basic way to look at the reality of things, of what is actual, is that everything depends on everything else. Everything, not even depends, that's the wrong word. Everything is symbiotic with everything else. Take away any one thing and nothing exists anymore. Everything is part of what everything is.
I think the most difficult aspect of what is here for the mind is to accept that what is not in your experience doesn't exist for you.
That's right. For you, that's it. That's the crucial one. It's just a
It's
concept.
something that the mind can be very, very reluctant
Yes.
to maybe never accept it, but it's a fact that what you are not experiencing doesn't exist for you, and you have no idea if it is out there.
Yep.
Absolutely no idea.
Yeah. So this, if I have to put a description on what happens at Liberation Unleashed, this whole thing is about helping people to recognize what is actual, and in brackets only experiencing, and what is conceptual, everything else, absolutely everything other than what is current experiencing is the only thing that's actual. And after that's discovered, then we can actually pull the rug out from underneath experiencing as well. but we have to do one at a time.
Yeah, but what you share right now, it's really the big difficulty, because often when I talk to people, I can see there is two words that kind of, like, there is the seemingly, it seems like this, it seems like another feeling, but I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and kind of behind those two little words, there is like a whole universe, Like anything can seems to be, but what is actually here for you? You know? And this little word behind it, seemingly there is whatever awakening means. That's all.
Mm. Yeah, so you often hear people say awakening is not about what is, it's about what's not. And it's kind of it's worth looking at that way for a moment, because so much of what seems to be what is just a mental creation. And that's where all the suffering comes from.
Yeah. What is interesting is suffering is to the mind what pain is to the body, right? So when I feel pain, that means that there is something in my body that I have to take care of. There is something that I'm not,
Something wrong.
that
Yeah.
has happened, and yeah, there's something wrong in my body, right? And when there is suffering, there is something more in my mind, in my belief system. I'm kind of believing stuff that there is something wrong in my belief system.
Mm. So we could shift both of those a little bit, and we could say when we experience pain in the body, that's a message that something is that we need to do something, or we could do something to not the idea of removing the pain, but we remove the source of the pain, remove the reason it's there. And it's the same with the suffering. And when we are suffering, that can also be a message about what we need to do to remove the source of the suffering. So the idea that they're wrong when we've got them, that's wrong. But it could be seen that way or not. Yeah.
No, it's important, and in fact, I think suffering it's our ally.
Yes,
Because-
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because just like pain, if I don't feel pain, I wouldn't be aware that my knee is kind of breaking and I have to stop.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
I'm not aware that I'm suffering, this when I suffer, is a sign that there is something in my mind that I'm not paying attention to.
Yes.
And if you know where to look, it's very fast. If you don't, well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
You go to LU and you do the process, or somewhere else. I mean,
I want to hear from you before we close off today, Leonard. How's things for you?
Quite fine. I'm looking forward to my trip to Indonesia. The last week, yeah, several days where I had a lot of chatter of the mind, and I had a little glimpse into something which is a bit new for me, because yeah, for example, sometimes it happens to me that all the day there is this chatter, and it's like really stupid thoughts, like and then I realized that it's not really helpful to judge it. So because then I'm entangled even more in them. Then I started to kind of accept them. But last week, I kind of understood that it's not even necessary to accept, or there is who is there to accept the thoughts, or who cares if anybody accepts those thoughts? It's like, but it was just like a little glimpse. I don't know. The longer there is this chatter, the harder it is not to be entangled in them somehow. So, because then after a while, it's like really, please stop it. And then but that's really the moment when it gets worse,
Sure.
because it's I don't know, it's like kind of not being tricked into it requires a certain amount of relaxation, but also, yeah, when it's like over many hours, then I think I have to concentrate on being relaxed, and then that's like when it doesn't, yeah, when I get entangled in the thoughts anyway. And yeah, but it was
So again,
okay
I'd just
anyway.
like
I
to
mean,
point
it's
out that the aim is not to stop them. The aim is
yeah.
to remove the reason why they're there. And they're there as your ally in order to tell you something. And so I do get a little concerned when people say, well, there's no self here, so who, and so that's a dismissive way. It's a way of suppressing them rather than listening to the message that they've got for you. And like it may be, it doesn't, I'm not saying it always is, but it's just possible that it is. So the thing is to be friends with, even with our stupid thoughts. Let's be friends with them. They will tell us something if we don't confront them, if we don't get aggressive towards them. They'll tell us something. Even those really, really, really stupid thoughts have got a message for us. So by being relaxed and open to them, it gives us the opportunity to see what they're about rather than just to dismiss them, to get rid of them. Yeah. No, I don't know which one happens for you, but it's just, I just needed to say that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know what you're pointing at. I don't want to bypass
Yeah,
them.
exactly. Yeah.
But are a lot of thoughts that I know that they are a product of a certain conditioning, and I know where they come from, but yeah, it's just like a mechanism,
Yes.
And
Well, especially if the same ones come, or the same type of ones come up, right? Then they're trying to tell you something that you haven't heard. If they come
yeah,
repeatedly or
but
the same kind of.
I know them already. It's not something very surprising or nothing new. So
Okay, no, but still
rather
I would
like,
say if they come back, it's because you haven't heard something they're trying to tell you. When you've heard it, they won't come back anymore. Or maybe just remnants of them for a little while, or just that habitual bit. But essentially they will come back deflated, so to speak. They won't.
yeah, I noted that there is a bit of a confusion in me at the moment because I was listening a lot to Pernille's videos, and I guess I could learn a lot of things from it. But now when I listen to them, I feel like, no, that's too much. I don't even think that I'm not listening anymore. I can't concentrate on it anymore. And it's kind of rather an intuitive thing that I think like, give it a break. I don't need so much information. I don't know if at the moment I need all this information about fetters, I'm actually quite
Absolutely. It could be too much. Yeah.
fetter one, so to say. So it's kind of, yeah, a lot of times I have this very freeing experience of yeah, for example, the thing that I told you about when I had this conflict with my sister, and then I could really go into the physical sensations, and afterwards I had this kind of reactions like, okay, now there's me trying to to justify myself, and I could really have a distance, or there was like really a distance to all of those reactions. And I'm quite fine with experiencing that, because that's already something very revolutionary for me, or it's very new. And so yeah, then also sometimes I'm wondering, like, or is it that I'm not wanting to look at certain things, but then maybe this, yeah, but on the other hand, I think it's not always the time to look at everything at once, you know.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah. So you need to ask yourself the question: is it really that, say, hearing what Pernilla is saying is too much, or is it really that you're just avoiding something by not going? Now, it could be either, and we don't know. You're only it's your feelings that are going to give you an answer to that. Feelings, yeah.
I'm sure that it's not Pernilla, because she what she's talking about is really brilliant. There's no doubt in this.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about her. We're talking about your relationship. What's information is there? Yeah,
it's just maybe it creates in me this kind of eagerness to work it all out, you know, and that's like too much for me. So
okay, so just taking. So one of the things that we mentioned earlier, and Pernilla is pretty big on, is boundaries. Just setting a thing for yourself that says, okay, I'll put that on hold for a while something else happens. Yeah.
Yeah, also I was kind of confused about something that I remembered, and it was like something very traumatic that happened to me when I was 25, but I didn't even understand it as something that the other person shouldn't have done to me. So I guess I didn't really wanted to see myself as a victim, and I thought like, yeah, it was my fault or something. But then I forgot it for many years, and after I would say like 15 years, I remembered it, and then I remembered, wow, but that was actually something very violent that nobody should have done to me. But I think back then I didn't have this very strong self, and I didn't have boundaries. Yeah, and then afterwards I was wondering, like, yeah, but did this thing that happened influence me in a bad way or something? And did it change something very significant? And then I can't verify it. It's like yeah, it could be, but that, and then
the mere fact that the memory came back would suggest that there's some juice there for you in that. But what it is and how much it is, well, that's only experience will allow that to happen.
And the only thing that it showed to me was that yeah, okay, first you have to have a strong self to put boundaries, and then, you know, you can,
and so probably very, very likely it's something that exists for you right now. You are now exploring that issue, right? And this memory was a way of putting a perspective on that for you.
Yeah, but then I was wondering, like, yeah, I don't want to bypass it. I don't want to say like it didn't change anything for me, or it didn't have any impact on me, but it's impossible for me to verify that, because that's a story.
We don't
Like,
know. Yeah, that's right. And it doesn't matter really, that thing, yeah. It's just a case of, well, there it is. It's just popped up and that's it. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. Curiosity. That's the key to everything, I reckon. Curiosity. Yeah.
mhm,
And to be relaxed enough to allow curiosity to be pervasive, uh,
mhm.
that requires you to have some boundaries and to know where you're sitting, so to speak. Yeah. Everything's
Yeah,
intertwined now. Everything. It's just such a magnificent chaos that we live in.
yeah. Thing is that sometimes there is no curiosity at all. And then maybe this also needs my curiosity, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's okay for me too, because then I guess some months ago, I was still kind of thinking or hoping it to be a linear process, you know? Like,
Mm.
and then, for example, I noticed the funny thing is that when there are rather unpleasant situations, for example, with my pupil or with my sister, and then this creates like really a physical reaction in me, then it's somehow, cool, there is something to work with.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
Yeah.
other days where there's not so much happening anyway, so it
Mm.
doesn't feel very intense, you know. And then it's quite interesting because yeah, back in Argentina, I started to learn to play the cello, and this process of learning an instrument is somehow, it has a lot of parallels with non-duality as well,
Mm.
because
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's really something sometimes that as a metaphor, this instrument is showing me things that I can learn from. So it has
Mm.
also to do with relaxation, or that, for example, it's not a linear process either. For example, at a point I thought like I have to practice every day, but then it's not even, it's not even helpful. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's good a break for 2 days, and then you start fresh anew,
Yeah.
and then the sound is really like wow, and you think like, but I didn't practice, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then also
I
I
get that.
think I tend to this kind of extremes. For example, when my teacher told me, no, your elbow has to be a bit higher, then I tended to play like this.
Yeah.
And, I kind of always need this, somebody corrects me and then I exaggerate it, and then
Yeah.
I get away with it, and then I'm, yeah, arriving to the middle way or something. So
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
yeah, there are like, I could tell you a lot of things that are quite similar.
Mm.
But then also referring to the cello, because when I was in Argentina, I had a teacher whom I really liked and I wanted to please to her. So I practiced a lot, and then I learned a lot, but it was not so much fun. I didn't really enjoy it so much. And
Mm.
my teacher now, for example, she said, yeah, there's no hurry. And the idea is to make music. And if you don't have all those technical things, it doesn't matter. You have to play the piece anyway and
Mm. Mm.
enjoy the sound or the touch of the chords and so on.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this a lot, and now it's rather like, okay, I will play the cello until the end of my life, and it doesn't have to be a linear process. And I would say I'm thinking in the same way about non-duality. So I have to say I don't care about the question if I'm awakened or not. I don't
Yeah.
really know. It's not important. And
stuff.
because there are already so many changes that I can feel, and yeah, that it's not really difficult to me to just surrender to it. And if that means that, yeah, for example, there are still, yeah, even if there is still ego, it's okay for me too. So
Yeah, great.
I can
That's
live
a
with that.
very awakened perspective you've got there, Leonard.
Mm. I don't know.
And have a great holiday.
Sorry?
Thank you.
Great
Yes.
holiday. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When are you going?
On Sunday,
Oh,
and
okay.
I installed Zoom on my telephone, but I have to look if I can
See what
attend.
happens. Yeah, people do. Yeah. Well, David's in Vietnam at the moment. I think he's still in Vietnam. He's been all over the world and he's always managed to find us on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm on the train, for example, maybe it's.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Depends
But
if you
I'll
got
try.
signal, but yeah, wherever. Yeah.
I would really enjoy that.
Mm, good
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're in a good place. I like that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I've got to depart.
Okay. Yeah, me too. It's time to wind up, eh? Good.
Thank you.
Great meeting. Love it. Thank you.
Bye.